clock. Tonight, find a bar with the jukebox and dance all night. Let's
all right, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Mood is Music podcast. Today is Saturday, March 14th, and we're in the eye of the storm.
That's right, the coronavirus storm. Hence my mask. I'm fully masked up. I got my gloves, hand sanitizer.
You left the hazmat outside.
Oh,
Let's be real.
I came in a bubble.
Yeah.
I bubbled over here. I can't.
I'll tell you better. The easiest thing about this whole mess is the self-quarantine.
Yeah,
I feel like
true.
that's, I don't have a big problem with that. And I want to say that most people in Seattle feel the same way.
Yeah.
Now they have an actual excuse to not go out.
Yeah, that's true. We've talked a lot about this on the podcast as far as Seattle liking to stay home and play video games, be on social media as opposed to go outside. I mean, and now we all have an excuse to do it and not feel guilty about it and not care.
True.
Feel empowered to stay home and be isolationists.
Yeah.
And so I hope it fulfills everyone's dreams.
Have you encountered anything or anything weird or anything?
No, I mean, I have been really busy, and I literally have been social distancing by necessity because I've been just under deadlines.
Yeah.
But I am done. I literally finished on Thursday night. I did like some final mixes and stuff on Thursday night and turned all my work in on Friday, and I was done. Like yesterday. And then I realized that I hadn't been out of the house in a while. And then I was like, oh shit, now I can't go out of the house. I'm totally
now you're mandated
screwed.
to stay.
But no,
That's
I mean,
funny.
I think it's been interesting. Having to work. I work from home. Like I have been working from home for so long that it's.
Even my mama thinks that my mind is gone.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's fine. Like I'm gonna still work. Like I have a lot of I have some pending jobs that are coming in that I'll still be working from home. So the good thing about where I am is that my work is not stopping. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's good for me. It's a lot of other people is not. I mean, a lot of people I know just got hammered when South by Southwest canceled. Yeah. Like a lot of people I know. Dude. And then a lot of like roadies and stuff that I'm friends with are just unemployed, like immediately. Like literally they just now have no jobs and no jobs in the foreseeable future as far as they can tell because like, I don't know. When are we going to start going back to concerts and stuff? I don't know.
When I read about South by Southwest, I was like, it's probably getting serious.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something,
Yeah.
And man, I remember like about a month ago, I was, for my business, my work, I go to the laundry to wash my sheets and stuff. And I'm always careful. Like I'm very clean as it is,
Right.
And so I'm there. I have my computer. I have my headphones on because I'm editing. I'm just working and on music stuff and all. And you know this, like sometimes you make eye contact with the wrong crazy.
Oh yeah.
And they just have to talk to you.
Yeah. Especially at doing laundry and stuff.
So and this
seems
was
like a magnet for that.
Yeah, this was an older woman, like kind of overweight. Well, not kind of overweight woman, white woman, and so she comes up to me. And so she asked me if I know Santo Niño de Atocha, which is a saint that a lot of Mexicans kind of refer to and things like that. And we use it kind of like Santo Niño de Atocha, like shit type stuff.
Right.
So I know of it. But she comes up.
Kind of like Nicaraguenses use hueputa or something. No.
Yeah.
In a different
saint. And but this bitch, bro, had like, I don't know if it was like a nervous tick or if something was going on with her, but she like every other word she said, she would do like a open mouth throat clearing.
Oh my God. That's like a nightmare.
So literally she walks up and she's like, "Have you heard of Santo Niño de Tocha?" Like that.
Oh, and you're like,
and like
no.
slowly I'm just like, putting my face inside my shirt and I'm like, yeah, I've heard the name, And so she goes on and every other word she's and I'm just like, dude, can you fucking go somewhere else? And
I mean, that's where for me, I can't. I will just be like, look, I would say, due to recent events,
well, it was before.
I cannot stand here and talk to you. It was before all that.
Yeah, it was like before Valentine's Day. So it was like, so I was aware, like,
like we'd heard about it. We saw like what was happening in China,
like
but
pandemic wasn't used yet.
It wasn't a national emergency.
But still, she walked up. I saw her doing this, and I was just like, this, like, because I can't afford, not even a sniffle. I cannot afford a fucking sniffle, and so I have like half a conversation with this old bitch with my face inside my shirt. And then like some other people are watching me and they know what's going on, and I'm just like, God damn, leave me alone. And I just kind of put my headphones back on and I'm still pretending to respond to her till she fucking walks away.
Oh my God.
But I'm like, lady.
Well, at least that didn't happen like 2 days ago, when you were doing
Oh, no. I run away.
Yeah.
I run away.
You were like a mask on. And I was really tempted to drive with my mask and my gloves on all the way down the freeway from where I live, which is up in Bothell, to where Jesus lives over here down here in Renton. And just like freak people out all the way down. But I was surprised at how many people are actually out. Like, it's surprising how many people are not out. Like, it's both surprising how many people are out and also both surprising how many people are not out.
Yeah.
I feel like it was more surprising yesterday and the day before because, like, it's so quiet. Like, by my house at night, it's pretty quiet where I live, but you can still hear like the road. Like you can definitely hear when people are getting up to go to work, like I'll get up early, work out or whatever. And then you can definitely hear like at night or not at night, but in the evening when people are coming home, like the traffic noise goes up. You know? And we were hanging out outside yesterday right around that time, right around like 5 o'clock in the yard. And I was like, hey, Katie, to my wife, come out here. And she's like, what? I was like, do you hear anything? She's like, oh my God, it's so quiet. I'm like, yeah, it's weird.
It's so weird.
It's weird.
It's so.
Someone was saying the other day, or no, it was today on the radio. I was listening to the radio as I was driving down here, and they were saying it's like going to downtown Seattle right now is like how Seattle was 20 years ago when no one was here. Because it really was empty 20 years ago. There was really no one here.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much it's grown, but I was like, that makes sense.
So busy.
Yeah.
A lot of people, a lot of construction, which doesn't help.
Yeah.
And I mean, this virus has been great for my commute. So
same here.
Yeah, so it's okay on that end.
Yeah.
But I don't realize what it is until I'm like, why the fuck am I getting a tickle in my throat?
You're like, oh my God.
Yeah,
what the fuck is going on?
For like a little tickle or whatever. Or like if I'm like.
The thing that sucks too is it's full on allergy season right now in Seattle. Like, because in Seattle, right around the first like week of spring, like all the trees freak out and just eject and ejaculate their spores and pollens and all the various. And we have like every tree on the planet here. Yeah. So like it's every kind of spore and pollen you can possibly imagine.
It's a bukkake of pollen.
all at the same time. And so everyone is like, I have sniffles. And like, I was talking to my mom and she's like, well, I have this cough. And she was going to come up and visit. And then she canceled. And it's like, man, crazy. My sister just canceled her first daughter's graduation party because the hotel canceled all events for like the next 2 months.
Wow.
And like, man. I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of events being canceled. I'm wondering if there's a couple projects I'm working on that I think are going to get shut down.
Yeah.
So that's going to suck for me probably. Thankfully, there's other things, but
I think we should start setting up like online YouTube live concerts type
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. I mean, a lot of people are doing that right now. Like, I can't remember the name of the. I think the name of the band is Acid Tongue. I don't know. Well, shout out to them. They did one yesterday. Was it yesterday? It was either yesterday or Thursday. I don't remember. But I just saw that. I actually didn't attend because I was taking care of my kid. But yeah, they did like their whole CD release party online.
That's dope. I like that idea.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I know a lot of musicians who just got hammered.
Yeah.
Like 15 grand in debt over in like 24 hours,
Jeez.
you know, plus, you know, because they were like betting on like a solid amount of guarantees for the tour, you know, starting in, or, you know, on their way to South by Southwest or starting in South by, or anchoring, you know, a couple big shows anchoring their tour out of South by Southwest. Treefort Festival, a couple other festivals got canceled or moved. Obviously, like the big ones we all know about, but I'm just saying ones that have personally affected people who I know. And so then it's like, and you could see them all collectively, like online, over the last like, you know, 72 hours, let's say, kind of being like, oh, we still have these shows that can anchor. Oh, they're canceled. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck, we're in debt. God damn it. Yeah.
They're like, we're at capacity 300, and they're like, oh, fuck, we have to cancel.
Yeah, that's it.
It's over capacity.
Yeah, I mean.
God, so scary.
Yeah,
in that way.
So there's a lot of people, I mean, let's just talk about the music industry, right? Because I think we're going to be very surprised how many industries are affected by all of this stuff. But as far as like the music industry goes, like there is going to be like starving artists come wintertime because everyone who's making money off of touring and all support people, right? All the roadies, all the sound guys, all the light techs, and I know everyone's talking about this. Security, you know, bartenders, waitstaff that revolve around the music industry, but not only that, but also musicians, management, all these people, right? They're not collecting fees on tour guarantees and on all the stuff that's happening, like, and everyone's savings, who, you know, they can't make money on tour. It's like, where are they going to make money? You know what I mean? So come November, people are going to get hammered. You know what I mean? And people are going to lose a lot of stuff because they're not going to be able to play spring, summer, and festival season's going to be completely fucked.
Damn.
Like, even if, so like, what's the best case scenario here? Like, you know, somebody, like I read a story the other day that Canada had a vaccine in the making and that they're going into the phase 1 trials, and that's great, phase 1 trials, but phase 1 trials can take up to I think a year or something like that, right? And then you have multiple other trials after that, right?
By then you have the newer.
So let's say that happens, right? And within 2 years we get something. But what's gonna, like, don't you think attendance across the board to public events, especially huge festivals, is gonna go down?
Yeah.
All that being said, I just, before I left here, was reading an article about how there's lines around the building at bars in like New York and Chicago and stuff because like no one has to go to work.
Yeah.
And so like all the, 21 through 35-year-olds who are like single and wanting to party are just like, fuck it. Yeah. I'm not in the at-risk group, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, there's definitely at risk and there's, so.
And it's, I was thinking about that today, and it's almost like even if we're on the safe side of it because you're healthy or because you're not within the age bracket where it does something to you, people need to be responsible. You know, kind of like, I don't know, but I've been thinking of people that may not give a fuck, and like getting clients and just being around people. I find that I'm judging a little bit more as far as like, like I look at people, looking for symptoms or whatever, but my mind tends to go, do you give a fuck if you had it?
Right.
Would you stay home?
Yeah.
Type of judgment, because I feel like it's up to us. I mean,
Yeah, like the government's not doing shit. Nah. Like they're idiot. I mean, like, come on. Everyone saw that. A couple of those press conferences, like that guy's a dum-dum. Like
fucking
we know
shaking hands and everything.
Those guys are all a bunch of clowns.
Oh,
like,
man.
I mean, at the very least, like before when you had like Obama and fucking Uncle Joe up there, like, at least you were like, well, like, at least they're smart guys. Like, I think Obama's a pretty smart guy. Like, I don't know him. I don't love his policies, especially when it comes to immigration and deportation and other things. But, like, he seems smart. You know what I mean? He seems articulate. He, at least in a situation like this, if Obama came up there and said some shit and, like, I would be like, all right,
Easier to take.
Yeah, he seems like he's gonna, handle some shit and get business done.
Yeah.
You know what I keep thinking about too is like, I'll stay. The last couple nights, I've been like, I'm gonna charge my fucking phone like all the way 100% before I go to sleep, and I'm gonna, because I keep thinking like, I think it's just like because I know somebody on Twitter who was like, dude, all the power is out in my apartment. What the fuck? And like all he has is this phone, and he's a single guy, music guy.
Wow.
And he's just like, dude, is it just me? And it turns out it was just like his apartment complex, you know what I mean? But like, that's what I'm saying. Like, and it doesn't help that I'm reading book. Like I'm currently like 4 chapters into this book called, I think it's called Moon Over Crusted Snow or Moon Crusted Snow. But anyways, it's a really good book, but it's all about like these First Nations people in Canada who are living out isolated on this reservation, right? And they're, little by little, they're starting to realize that everyone's fucked outside of this reservation, but they don't have like direct contact, so they don't really know.
Yeah.
So like first their power goes out, then their cell phone reception goes away, and the internet goes away, and the satellite goes away.
The grid.
Yeah, like slowly everything goes away, but they're like so isolated in this thing that they don't really know like what's happening, and they don't have any information because all the internet's everything gone. So they're just like out there living, thinking everything's normal.
Yeah.
And like obviously it's like slowly creeping in onto their reservation. Yeah, it's a pretty good book, but it's like the worst book to read right now.
Yeah.
So anyways,
funny.
I think because of all this, we decided we needed to make some quarantine playlists or like at least talk about some music that we think inspires interesting emotions during this time.
Yes. I think that it's
Speaking of which, I'm going to grab my
I think that it's important to have, music is so good for our emotions, our moods, and it just kind of alters and stimulates. And I feel like right now is the perfect time for people to, if you haven't before, start working out at home. And so some of these I feel like are great for any type of emotion. Like the list you sent me is very varied, in genres and stuff.
Right.
And so it was interesting. It was.
Well, I will start by starting this conversation about our music that we sent to each other to listen to while we were all in self-quarantine. One song that I should have put on these lists and we should have put on is Don't Stand So Close to Me by The Police. And I totally fucked up and dropped the ball and didn't put that on the list.
That's funny.
But I will put that on the quarantine playlist that I create tonight when I go home on our Mood is Music Spotify account. And I will post that on our Instagram and on my Twitter account. And I'm sure Jesus will retweet me. So take a listen. All these songs will be up there and on the description.
There's also that song that goes, "Don't touch me right now. Don't touch me right now."
Yeah.
We need to put that one up there.
Yeah. So we're gonna catalog a decent list of songs for self-quarantine for either making babies, because come on guys, we all know that come 9 months from this next 2 months, we're gonna have a COVID-19 baby boom like you've never fucking seen in your life.
Oh fuck! I didn't think about that. That's so funny. That is so funny. I had a client come up to me, and it was a new client, so it was my first time seeing him and all. And I do massage therapy, and so I go up to him and I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" I'm going to put my hand out, and he gives me the elbow.
You're like, "Bro, I'm about to give you a massage."
Well, I gave him the elbow, but I was like, he's like, the new protocols or whatever kind of comment, and I was like, yeah, I mean, I am gonna massage your body.
Yeah.
But we can bump elbows.
But whatever.
Fine.
I mean, we are trapped in a small room together for an hour, but whatever.
But whatever. We don't have to shake hands.
I guess it's different. Yeah, I guess, But so anyways, I guess I'll start by going through some of your tracks. So the ISO Indies, Kids on the Porch. When did that come out? That was one of the tracks Jesus sent me. It's pretty old because I remember hearing that track and being like, oh, like when you sent it to me, I was like, oh shit, I've heard the song before. When did I, you know?
Yeah.
But and then you sent me Sam Hunt, Kinfolks, which is hilarious because as soon as I played that, Katie was like, oh, I know this song. And I was like, really? I've never heard this song in my life. But that's because it's a country tune. And I do listen to some country, but I don't listen to any pop country.
Yeah.
Like, I try to listen to it because I think, for me, it's good. I like to listen to a lot of different stuff, especially depending on what kind of projects I'm working on. But I haven't been listening to a lot of pop country at all recently, except for the song you sent me and the song that goes like, I don't know who it is. I can't think of who it is right now. I'll put it up on the podcast, but it goes like, I got a good girl and she's a good girl. It literally repeats the same two songs. Have you heard that song before? Oh, man.
I've heard
my son.
Who's your daddy? I've heard that.
My son loves that song. And I literally just randomly played it because I was like, oh, let's listen to some new country music. Because me and him will listen, like when we'll play toys or whatever, I'll just put on like different songs. Like I'm trying to expose him to as much different music, like Bulgarian choir music, like anything.
Nice.
Like, and just try and expose him to different stuff. So we were like, well, let's listen to like country hits. He's like, yeah, country hits. He doesn't know what that means. So that was the first song that come on. And I was like, I don't like this song. And so I changed it without asking him. And he was like, Daddy, I like that song.
Oh, damn.
And I was like, oh, shit. Okay, buddy. So I put it back on, and I was like, wow, I can't believe you like this song. You must be 3 years old. But so anyways, whoever sings that song, I don't know who it is, but you got a 3-year-old fan in my son.
Nice. Very nice.
But yeah, so, and then on the third track you sent me was like from a new artist, Dakota, yeah.
Dakota, she's a Mexican singer.
Okay.
From
La Comuna.
From DF, I think.
Oh, okay.
And this song, La Comuna, I really like the performance of this song. I haven't heard the actual
I couldn't find a recording of it anywhere.
She's got a lot of live
We
stuff,
listened to the music. Yeah, I mean the live performance of it. Yeah.
And the live, I think she's really good. The song was good, and I was kind of surprised to find that type of music in Spanish, but in like from Mexico.
Yeah.
So it's just cool. I like finding that kind of equal side of the coin of like the hipster in the U.S. and the hipster in Mexico, and just how similar they are.
Yeah, I mean, there's a big scene in Mexico like that.
Yeah.
Like, and in South America, specifically Argentina, but all over South America, there's a big like indie, kind of like emo rock indie kind of vibe going on. And there's a lot of bands. I don't know a lot of them bands specifically, but I have listened to a lot of playlists where those bands are on. I don't listen to that music really.
Yeah. Me either.
Not because I don't think it's good or whatever. It's just not my aesthetic. But I thought it was cool. Like I liked what you were talking about where it's good to see, both sides, English and Spanish versions of music that you like. Yeah. For me, someone who speaks 2 languages, and for you, someone who speaks 2 languages, like seeing both sides, especially when we come from both cultures and kind of seeing how like, look, this.
Identifying the similarities.
Yeah, because they're very, it's the same music.
Yep.
It's like, it's just the language is different. I mean, the way she pulls off her melodies and stuff, you can tell she's coming from a different background.
Right.
A
little mariachi.
Yeah, like she's like she's got some hints that like, whoever, I can't think of the newest indie artist in the States right now, but like that they don't have. So there's some differences, but I think maybe that's for like a learned ear. They can pick that out. So, but yeah, I liked it. I mean, I thought that was probably my favorite. I mean, ISO Indies is probably my favorite of the 3 songs that you sent me. And then she was second. I would say Sam Hunt was probably my least favorite. But no, I mean, it's still a good song. It's produced well, and I was cool.
Yeah, and I also went a different route in sending you full albums that I personally would need during quarantine.
Yeah. It's kind of like, it's a little, I feel like during quarantine, it's kind of like your Desert Island albums, but not quite the same, I feel like.
Well, as you can tell, I didn't necessarily pick an album per se. It was more of a soundtrack.
Yeah, it was soundtracks,
That's more of a compilation of different things.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I guess I didn't notice that when you first sent it to me, but now that you explain it, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and especially like the Rush Hour album.
Yeah, so his picks were 8 Mile. Here's Soundtrack's picks were 8 Mile because he loves Eminem. The Rush Hour, not the Rush Hour, and Interstellar.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the first two are perfect examples of just a variation of different types of the music that I like, and that 8 Mile, I mean, goes without saying, the soundtrack is amazing. And
it's a good soundtrack.
Yeah, just the variation of everything. And then Rush Hour just has a lot of the good music from the early 2000s.
Yeah, totally. I listened to some and I was like, oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just like it's a lot of fun stuff that keeps you like.
Yeah, exactly.
Up.
And not thinking about being quarantined.
Yeah.
And then Interstellar. That shit will keep you thinking about quarantine.
Yeah. Interstellar's good. That's a good soundtrack. I like it a lot.
I love that soundtrack.
I was gonna come back at you with some soundtracks, but like I couldn't pick. Like there's too many soundtracks that I love. True. But one that stuck out to me was the Michael Abers, the Jordan Peele horror film, and now I can't think
Get Out?
Yeah, the Get Out soundtrack.
Oh, wow.
Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Have you ever heard that soundtrack from beginning to end? You should.
Okay, I'm going to check it out.
Oh, man, it's so good. That guy, the composer, Michael Abels, I think his name is, or I think it's Michael. But anyways, it's fantastic. Like all of that guy's music is just amazing.
Yeah,
it's
Well, that was an amazing movie.
And that movie, but I mean, the music for that movie, for most people, probably wouldn't be good for quarantine because it would cause so much anxiety.
Yeah.
And freak them out so much. But I actually kind of like that a little bit. Like I'm not scared of anxiety. I'm kind of the opposite of my wife when it comes to that stuff. She's not scared of anxiety, but she hates anxiety. It's like a thing she has to deal with. But for me, I kind of like will embrace it and like let it wash over me and completely freak out until I think I'm about to have a panic attack, and I never do.
Yeah.
So.
And then it drains out.
And then it's gone.
Yeah.
And it's like, come on, take me. Yeah. Come on, fucking anxiety.
Yeah.
I'm ready. Yeah. And then it never comes, and I'm like, wait, that's not all in my head.
That void inside of me was imaginary.
Yeah. It implodes. But I like those. The Rush Hour soundtrack, I think, was just my favorite just because it brought back so many memories listening to those songs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Back to like good different times.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Like, I feel like, it's so weird when you think back on times and you're like, I was so innocent. Like, we were just so naive back then as far as like what was going to happen. Not necessarily the coronavirus stuff, but just everything.
Everything.
Like, you know what I mean? Like all the different things that have happened since then and how like things were funny back then, they're not so funny now. You know what I mean? You're like, nah, if we knew what we knew now.
Yeah. I've always been of the mind of like, if the world is going to end, then just fucking let it happen. You know? Like if I'm going to die from an alien invasion, then bring it on. I'm the bring it on type of mentality.
Yeah.
Not recently though, because we're getting closer and closer to it. We're inching towards.
I feel like that also is a function of your age.
Yeah.
Like as you get older, you start thinking like, oh no, that's right. Bad shit can really happen to me.
Bad shit is real.
And when you're younger, like all the way, I feel like up until maybe 30s, you just you know bad shit can, especially if bad shit's happened to you. You know bad shit can happen. You know.
Yep.
But it just doesn't ring as real as it does when you get older, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And you're like, shit. Like,
when we see a virus having the potential of kind of making millions of people either self-quarantine or quarantine by orders.
Right.
That shit is scary.
Yeah.
It's very scary.
I mean, when I started seeing like the videos of China, like spraying people like in the streets and shit. Those huge trucks with like the massive like disinfecting cannons on them and shit. I was just like, this doesn't seem good.
So scary.
I think I went grocery shopping the next day. And I was like, oh, shit, I'm going to slowly build this up because fools are going to freak out in about a week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And me and Katie, I remember she showed me these videos. And she's like, did you see these videos? And I'm like, no. Yeah. I didn't see them yet. I haven't really been paying attention to that, but I know that stuff's happening. And she's like, oh, no, check this out. So she showed me a bunch, and I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
She's like, so what do you think? I was like, I guess we got to go grocery shopping. I was like...
You got to stock up.
The one thing we did not stock up on was toilet paper. Luckily, we had gone to Costco before all this stuff, and we had just updated our like month-long or plus TP supply.
I was just mentioning to a friend how the modern-day prepper is going out and getting toilet paper.
Yeah, but
not
it's
about
so
guns
weird
anymore.
because, like, I just want to point something out to everyone who lives in Washington and Oregon, the Pacific Northwest, that, guys, we have an abundance of moss, soft, clean moss, an abundance of trees, big leaf maple trees make great butt wipe.
Yeah.
If you've ever been backpacking or camping, you guys know what I'm saying. Like, you wash a bunch of leaves up.
Yeah.
You lay that shit out. You dry it off. And it's fantastic. Yeah. And it gives you a fresh, clean scent. Yeah. It's natural. It biodegrades.
Also,
don't flush your leaves, though, by the way.
Also, if it's that bad.
Yeah, right. Like toilet paper.
Dude, get in the shower. Like, if the only thing missing in your house, wash your fucking ass and you're good. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have to... this is what scares me more than anything. It's just people's reaction and people's mentality about it,
Well, the thing I thought was funny was I was at the grocery store like a couple days ago, and the guy at the cashier was like, I mean, we literally have trucks outside waiting to deliver more food, guys. Yeah. Like, what are you doing? Like international or like interstate travel is not banned.
No.
I mean, maybe it will in the future, but in the meantime, we still got a shit ton of trucks out there bringing food in. Like,
yeah. Also, if your store is out of shit, go to the next one.
Yeah.
They might have it,
Yeah.
Go to the one in the next town. Yeah, it's so interesting. So these are basically some songs and some albums for you to do that at home and not go out in public and freak other people out. Oh, I got to tell you something.
Oh, okay.
So I went to the local Costco the other day to get some gas, not even to go into the store or anything. And so I'm coming back, and the local Costco closest to me is in Tukwila, Washington. And as I'm driving back, I see a city official in an official city vehicle, and he's on his phone, like literally holding his phone up. And so I get next to him, and I do the hang up sign, because what the fuck are you doing, guy? We haven't done that since 2008. Right. What are you doing?
Like on his phone, right?
Yeah. And so he shrugs me off and keeps going. And so I'm like, you fucking bitch. Grabbed my phone and started recording him. And this fool actually gets behind me and pulls me over. Now, I pulled over because...
Wait, is he in like a...
No. He's just in a city.
He's not a law enforcement officer. No. How could he pull you over?
And so I only pulled over because I'm like,
I'm gonna confront this motherfucker.
Fuck yeah. And otherwise, I wouldn't have. I have all this on recording too.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, and so
we gotta post it on the Mood is Music Instagram.
So he walks up, and he's like, I'm just pulling you over to let you know that what I'm doing is not wrong. And I was like, actually, it is wrong. You're not exempt from the law. You're a city official. You, above all people, should know better,
right,
fucker. So as soon as I kind of start like holding him accountable, he just turns around and walks away back to his car. Gets in his car.
Hilarious.
And so he was like, he's basically, I'm on my way to investigate this accident and blah, blah. And I was like, are you trying to cause another one on your way there, bitch? And dude, so he kind of pointed to me where the accident, well, I drove to the accident site and with him behind me the whole time. And I'm like, you need to be accountable for your fucking actions. Because we're too far into a lot of bullshit to just let those things go on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's enough going on with the establishment and the there's too much going on.
Right.
I saw this and it irked me and I couldn't let it go. And
That's
it felt
funny.
so good.
Sick it to you, city official. No.
Fuck, man.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I want to see the video.
Yeah,
I think
I'll show it
that's
to you.
hilarious.
I'll show it to you and we'll put it up on the Instagram.
Now that we've talked about
Yes.
it. This is what we talked about on the Mood is Music podcast.
Dude.
Oh, that's funny.
And I wasn't, the camera was more just to get a record of it.
Right,
you know?
just to show him too,
yeah.
like, hey, look, man, like you're in a city vehicle. We know we have your face.
Yep.
You're doing this thing that's illegal that we all get pulled over for all the time.
Exactly.
There's no reason that you need to drive and like also, how do you not have a Bluetooth headset?
Well, also, why do you think you're exempt from the law?
Because you have-
Why do you think there's a double standard in this bitch?
Yeah.
That's the one thing I hate. There's this movement I support a lot on YouTube called the First Amendment audits.
Right.
And it's there's a lot of fuckheads out there. I
Right.
know that cops deal with a lot of stupid shit.
Yeah.
I know, dude.
Right, I'm sure.
But we have to be accountable to our shit.
Right,
you know?
right.
And like all of us, even like, the fucking Me Too movement, all of that
Everyone,
is about
yeah.
accountability.
Right.
And I think it's fucking time to start making a shift more towards that rather than make it to the top no matter what.
Right,
you know?
right.
And with that also comes the responsibility of if you're feeling fucking symptoms, stay the fuck home.
Right.
And it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Think
well,
of others.
just in general, I mean, like, the thing about it right now is like, I don't think people understand. And having worked in the medical industry for a decent amount of time in my, previous to what I'm doing now, and having you work and my wife work in the medical industry and stuff like that, or just healthcare, wellness, all that kind of stuff. We know this stuff is normal for us. It's normal operating procedure to wash your hands for 20 seconds. It's normal operating procedure to not try and touch your face when you're out in public, not touch your, not all that kind of stuff. But also just in general, like we have to think about like what's the capacity of our healthcare system, right?
Yeah.
Like it's low. It's
Yeah.
not what people think. It's like this massive, we have Donald Trump as our president, guys. Like he is not capable of doing anything.
Oh,
Like-
frustratingly stupid.
And neither is administration. And he's taken, an axe to all of the federal kind of safety nets that would, in this situation, help
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
And so it's basically every state is on their own.
Yeah.
And every community is on their own. And the thing that I think people don't, me and my wife were talking about this a couple days ago, and I was like, you know what, like places like Nicaragua are actually probably in better shape if this continues for like 2 or 3 months, because this is normal for them.
Yeah.
They save water from the shower. They save everything.
Yeah.
They know how to go gather food from the forest. Everyone's growing food in their front yard and backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's got a couple chickens.
Yeah. And
Everyone's
that's
got a
life.
cow. Everyone's got a goat. You know what I mean? Like, or there's a barter system in place already.
Mm-hmm.
People are trading eggs for fish, and like people are, driving to Managua and taking everyone's, orders from Price Mart or whatever that's what it's called down there, and going to and bringing it all back to the community. People are checking on. There's no real old folks' homes. Everyone's abuela and abuelo are living with them.
Yep.
So like a year from now, if this continues and things are crazy and the federal government collapses and like, Americans are going to have a really hard time living in that, especially young Americans who are, not used to that. I mean, there's a lot of people who are used to that. There's a lot of people who go back home to wherever that is, right? Those a lot of other places, not just Latin America, but a lot of other places live like that, and know how to do that stuff and know how to be community oriented without, and not taking risks because they know that the ramifications are far reaching within their own community. So it's interesting to see the U.S. do this. You know what I mean? Because it's such like rugged individualism at all costs is not good for people.
Yeah.
It's a terrible way to structure your entire country.
Yeah.
And also, like, let alone, I mean, we're not going to get into a healthcare discussion in this podcast because it's kind of outside of the scope a little bit.
Well, it'll
be a 4-hour
podcast.
But but that's the other piece too. It's like, you know, I have family who are, you know, Republican. They try not to be Republican around me because every time they bring it up, we have long discussions about it. And they rarely win, in my opinion. But those people specifically, I'm like, I was specifically talking to this one person, and he's like, oh, well, you know, I just cashed in my 1 week's vacation. I'm like, okay, cool. So you're good for a week, and then what? And he's like, well, I have paid sick leave. Great. So you do, but no one else around you does. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like, so what happens to the Medicare, what happens to the healthcare industry in 2 months when all this shit is still happening?
Yeah.
And everyone's sick time is used up, and everyone's paid leave is used up, and everyone's insurance starts to cancel because everyone stops paying their bills.
Yeah.
Like, this is why people have like socialist safety nets in big countries where they're, you know, using all this tax money for the benefit of their own communities. This is exactly why. Yeah. This is why Bernie Sanders was for Medicare for all. This is why Elizabeth Warren was for Medicare for all. Yeah. Let's hope Joe Biden knows what the fuck he's talking about and inherits that.
Yeah, let's hope.
You know, from... Like, Jesus, man. Yeah. It's crazy because it takes things like this for people to kind of like go, oh, shit. Like, this doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's an interesting time to be alive.
It is. It's so crazy.
It's so much is going on.
Yeah.
You know, and to that point, I say, whatever comes, like the coronavirus infection or something like that, it's a beautiful, you have to look at it like it's a beautiful thing because we're experiencing this, you know, like we're literally going through something where 80 years from now it's going to be in history and people are going to go, what the fuck were people thinking
like, what
and
happened?
doing?
Yeah.
Jesus, you know, how did we let it get to that?
Right. Well, I also think it's interesting too because it gives you like a second to be like, oh, if I focus on all these little awesome things that are happening day to day, like, it leaves very little time to freak out about all this crazy shit. Like, if I'm okay, I got food, my family's happy, we're having a good time. The one thing, you know, you can't take away from people is the ability to go outside and go into nature. That's social distancing. That's okay. Like, there's plenty of space, especially in Washington anyway.
Yep.
Plenty of hiking trails, plenty of, you know, obviously, the weather sometimes dictates that you don't do that, but there's still things to do. It's not like you're stuck inside and that's all you have to do. And if that's your approach, then, you know, okay, well, then you should just learn some more things. But there's still things to do, you know what I mean? And like, you can still see your family and stuff. Yeah. Like, that's not the point. I mean, obviously, if you feel sick, don't go see your grandma. But, like, you know.
Yeah, be conscious of the response to whatever the fuck happens to us.
Yeah.
You know? Because I have thought about this, and, you know, I think before, in past years, even if I was sick or whatever, I'd be like, well, I can take one client or whatever, and it'll be fine.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But it's not like that anymore.
Right.
And it's changing. It has to change how we think, how we... You know, because I'm so convinced that there's somebody out there that's going to be like, oh, fuck, I got it. And it's going to be mad at it, and it's going to go out and try to expose other people to it.
I'm sure there's people out there like that.
Dickheads out there like that.
Yeah. And on top of that, I think that's just people. I mean, like, people have to work here.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, like, people got to work.
Yeah.
Like, they can't afford to take days off. So if they're feeling kind of okay, if their strength is enough, they're going to go to work.
Yeah.
And they're going to go try and make some money because they have to. Because if they don't, they're going to lose everything. As far as they think, you know, that's what everyone thinks. They're going to lose everything. It's like, and some people don't have family to lean on or to, you know, to coalesce with and become a unit. Like, they don't. So they are on their own, you know. So it's, you're right. It's going to change everything.
Washington State put out a an application for like small business reliefs if your small business suffers from it or whatever. I found it on the Seattle Times. So if any of you in Washington State are listening and are a small business owner, try and look for that, because I think they will incentivize. They will try and incentivize whatever money you lose.
Yeah.
And will kind of help you recover from that.
Yeah, and that's one thing I think that's as much as people are like, oh God, you're in Washington, that's the epicenter of blah blah blah. No, it's not. I mean, you guys are wrong. The thing is, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's spread all over the place. We tested first, so we knew about it first.
Yep.
And we tested first because we had places like University of Washington doing their own tests, developing their own tests, and issuing their own tests against federal law. Yeah. They broke the law. I don't know if you did. I don't know if you know that whole story, but the way the story goes is that, and this is verifiable. You can look it up. There was I don't know the exact number. I shouldn't say numbers, but there was in the thousands. I think it was like 1,000 or 2,000 swabs, nasal swabs that they had done. This private clinic that had funding from the state and had funding from University of Washington to do tests for like these experimental tests for influenza. Mm-hmm. And they had just collected all this stuff as this shit went down, right? Like in February. And they were like, guys, we have 2,000 or so, I don't know how many thousand swabs of tests that we can test right now for COVID-19. And we can develop a test in our own. We have all raw materials in our own lab. Mm-hmm. We'll do our own shit. We'll take care of it. Mm-hmm. And we can test. And we can see right now, like, hey, is this shit on the ground in Seattle right now? These are all people these are all Seattle city residents. They went to the CDC, and the CDC said, no, it's against the law. You can't test those people. So then they went to the head of the University of Washington Medical School, or I don't know, whoever that was. Just look it up on your own. Just don't trust what I say. Just go look it up. Yeah. And he said, he went to the governor, and they said, no, like, let's break the law. Let's do this. Let's test these people. Because the sooner we know, the sooner we can get ahead of this thing. And who cares if everyone thinks it's coming from Washington? Because it's not. If we test, and then they found a bunch of people with COVID in that group. That was in February. They went and they shut down Bothell High School, and they shut down because that's who had it. The reason all that shit got shut down in February is because these people broke the law and did the tests. And did it. Shit. And so thank God for them. And not only that, University of Washington on its own is developing its own COVID-19 tests, regardless of what the CDC is saying, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. They're just doing their own shit. Yeah. And thank God for that. Like, thank God they're doing it. And that's the thing about, like, I will say about this community, as far as it's like, we definitely have very good medical research going on here. And so thankfully people decided to say fuck the CDC and do what the fuck they thought was conscionable and right thing to do, and did it.
Fuck. Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah. So I'll, if I can find the article, I'll send it to you personally. But if you are interested in that story, look it up. It's Seattle. It's there. People have talked about it on the radio, and it's documented in Seattle Times somewhere, I believe.
That's super interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's funny how these things, like, that people think like there's this grand infrastructure that is taking care of everyone, and people don't understand that it's just people, dude. Yeah. Like, I think when people say things like, oh, everything's negotiable, that means everything. Like, things are really just negotiable. Like, some people say to you, like, oh, the law says X, Y, and Z. Well, like, yeah, but the law is just something written in a book. And someone has to enforce that, and it's a person, and every person makes his own decisions and has free will, turns out. Yeah. So everything is in the hands of individuals who decide to make the right decisions or the wrong decisions. But
well, thank God for those criminals at UW.
I know, those criminal researching
I have a couple clients that work in the science labs at UW, and I also have quite a few clients from Children's Hospital. Yeah. But so far, the extent at my business that I've suffered or have been affected by this is I've had one person text me and say, "Hey, I can't make my appointment because somebody in my class was coughing, and I believe they were around somebody that was exposed or whatever. And so she was like, I don't want to take my chances.
Right.
I'm like, thank you.
Please, yeah.
And I hope everybody's thinking the same way, And so, yeah, I mean, I'm even thinking of whatever days I don't fill up, just taking them completely off and just taking care of myself.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the best thing to do, but
stay away from fuckers. So let's move on to your list of music.
Yeah, so I sent you kind of a long list. It's a little bit of like a mini playlist, and I think together with your songs and albums and a couple that we forgot, like obviously Don't Stand So Close to Me by The Police, and then my wife, as I was leaving, was like, Toxic by Britney Spears. So that'll be on there.
That is hilarious.
But so
let's see. So this first track, I think, tells us everything we need to know about Marcelo. And that is Let's Get It On by Marvin Gaye.
I mean, come on. If you're self-isolating with your spouse or your significant other, there's not a lot of stuff you can do after a while. So Get Sore.
It's a very it's a very fitting song. It's a cool song too. I really love that song anyway. So and then the other song is Heathens by 21 Pilots.
Yeah.
I like that one. It was
a little played out because like people have, it's been playing a lot. But
and it was part of a soundtrack, wasn't it?
It was
Suicide Squad
soundtrack.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good song. It's it sounds like it was an accidental hit. Almost like
I feel like that with 21 Pilots in general.
Oh, like really?
They've been grinding on tour since like 2000 something. I can't remember for a long time. I mean, they've been around for a long time before that became a hit.
Yeah,
and they've had some songs that were more popular. Not more popular than that song, but that were kind of popular. And then they had some, but that song really made them. Everyone knew who they were after that. You know what I mean? And that was new to them. I think they were just kind of a touring rock act, playing like Warped Tour and shit like that. That's dope. One of the many.
That's dope, man.
Yeah, but so they kind of blew up now, and now they have, now they're big acts.
That's dope. That's
and they're a good band. I've always liked them ever since before.
Yeah, they're easy listening. They're it's a good pick. I really like that.
And the subject matter too, like being in basically being in an asylum.
Yeah,
which is kind of what it feels like.
That's the thing about your list. Your list is very fitting to the theme. Right. I feel like mine is more random, more like
this is songs I like to listen to, which is good. Yeah. I mean, I think people handle it differently.
Yeah,
I kept it really thematic. Like, what inspired? What about? Basically, what about self-isolation? What does it make you go through? Well, if have sex, think about being crazy, think about your mom, which was the next track.
Exactly.
Mother Stands for Comfort by Kate Bush, off the Hounds of Love album, which if you haven't listened to it, which I think there's very few people on the planet who haven't listened to that whole album, you might be one of them.
Yeah. I haven't.
But you should listen to that whole album and think about the fact that it came out in the early 90s and how crazy good and experimental it is for a pop album that came out in the 90s. Like even that song that I sent you, which is probably the least listened to song of the whole album, is pretty crazy. Like there's there's like crazy new age jazz bass solos like all over that song. Like it's pretty weird, right?
Yeah, it took me a while to figure out like what was going on with the song, like where is it taking me, and but yeah, it was interesting. I've never heard of Kate Bush before.
Oh my God! Well, if you want her famous song, you've heard one of her songs, I know, because you've probably heard them on like it gets synced a lot on TV shows, which is "Running Up That Hill" by Kate Bush. If I play it for you, you'll be like, oh yeah, I've heard that song before.
How's it going?
I mean, I'm not going to sing it for you. I don't have Kate Bush pipes. Can't do that shit.
Oh, man. And then you sent me The Clash.
Yeah, I Fought... it's not a Clash song, but it's the Clash's rendition of I Fought the Law and the Law Run, which in my opinion feels like the most appropriate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because of the way they're just so like, I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I feel like we need to have, if you're in quarantine, you need to have that just to have that emotion of I don't give a fuck. Even if you, after that song, you have to stay quarantined.
Yeah. You're just like, God, my bedroom, I'll fight you. Oh, okay, I feel better
Rage
now.
the fuck out,
Yeah.
and then it's out. And it's a good pick for that. And then I feel like it takes a turn to the calm side.
Yeah. Well, I think,
If you were to play it in this order, which I kind of did.
Yeah.
And
it wasn't really meant to be. It's not like in order of play.
Right.
Yeah.
But in the order in which I was playing it, and then I got to this, which is Los Ejes de mi Carretera.
Yeah, De Mi Carreta.
De mi Carreta.
By Atahualpa Yupanqui, or he's the original composer. I mean, I would say it's a South American Nueva Canción standard. Like a lot of people have recorded this tune since him, but I like him doing it. He's the composer and the writer, and it's an interesting song. It's just about like the gaucho life, like the solitary lifestyle. A guy on his own in his cart, and people want him to make his cart shut up, and he says, "Fuck you! I'm doing it on purpose for the most part." You know?
Yeah.
Like this is the one thing that makes me feel alive, basically. You know what I mean? Because he's
funny.
so by himself out there, you know, all the time with cows and eating steak off of sticks and shit.
Atahualpa Yupanqui.
Which is one of my favorite, probably most, I would say he's probably one of my favorite songwriters from the Americas. And probably one of my greatest inspirations when it comes to like that type of style, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I can see.
it's very, very influential, especially early on in my music career. But,
I was gonna say like early Cuchata stuff
Yeah.
was very remnant, like very just calming and soothing type stuff. Which, by the way, that first Cuchata album, the entire album, would be very fitting for a quarantine.
Yeah, a playlist.
situation.
Yeah, we should put that on there. Although I'm not sure that's streaming on Spotify right now, but I'll look. It might be.
Yeah, though that album, I think, if you're the type of person that overthinks things and you have anxiety, that's a good album to just mellow out. I like that
Thanks, man.
first album. And then next is, obviously, I think we both love this person.
Yeah.
And I think we can do a whole episode on
We
just
will do an
him.
whole episode.
Yes.
Now that we have some time,
Yes.
we'll do it.
And that's Fela Kuti.
Yeah.
Fela
Expensive
Kuti.
Shit is the name of that
Expensive
song. I mean, he
Shit.
has plenty of good songs. There's 2 cuts of Expensive Shit. I think I sent you the longest one, which is like 20 minutes
Yeah,
long.
I like that one. I used to, Fela Kuti is my go-to guy back when I was teaching. And I would be like, all right, study for the quiz tomorrow or whatever, and just throw on some Fela Kuti and I'd go on my computer and do some other work. And, but yeah, Fela Kuti was pretty much always present in when it came to like influencing others to study or anything like that. I'm like, because you don't pay attention to the music necessarily.
Yeah, there's a point at which you listen to like one Fela track because they're all, I mean, some of them are not as long as others, but most of them are 14 minutes plus.
Yeah.
So there's a point at which you lose. You're just like, okay, it's on. You know?
It's just carrying you with it. And you just have to go with it.
Right.
But he's also very catchy, like Expensive Shit,
Yeah.
It's so like
that horn line, the it's so good. I mean,
all over the place.
Yeah.
Another one of my favorites from Fela is Water No Get Enemy.
Oh yeah,
I love that song.
Yeah, that's a great song.
But anyway, so if Fela, we can and will be doing a whole episode on just talking about Fela and his life. Excited for that. And then next we have Nuestro Juramento by Julio Jaramillo.
Have you heard this song before?
No.
Really?
No. Yeah.
That's so surprising to
Yeah.
me, man.
And
It's so surprising to me that both of those songs are new to you, but for me, like every aunt over the age of 40 has been playing me those songs since I was a child.
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
But here's my theory, because I thought the same thing. Here's my theory. is I wasn't necessarily influenced by people to listen to music. So the people around me never listen to this type of music. The people around me don't even know about these artists that I'm figuring out. And so I just wasn't exposed to either the genre or these types of artists. And so like you had your aunts and
mainly it was like aunts and uncle, it was just like family gatherings,
and
like people would play this
they just
stuff.
play it. And so for us, we didn't get a lot of that. We had a lot of corridos and banda and then like hip hop,
right.
And so my mind is just kind of stuck on those, even though I explore other things. So when I listen to it, that's kind of where my mind went. I was like, man, like I didn't grow up with any of these.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of, it was all like, for me growing up was all like boleros, salsa, salsa dura, and like, son montuno, like a little bit of that, but not as much. Like Cuban music, definitely, like Celia Cruz and stuff like that. But that was just because of like the age, I think. Like that salsa dura, like that New Yorican thing was like real popular with like Latinos who were not Mexican in LA at the time, and who were immigrated and who were exposed to like Cuban culture and stuff like that from Nicaragua to LA or wherever it went at the time that they had done, and at the time that they were like, oh, I'm here in the United States and like I have a job and like I make a little money and I now have a car, and it's like I listen to salsa dura, like I listen to this, you know what I mean? I'm not Mexican, I don't listen to that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's probably why that came in, and then like all these boleros and like nueva canción and like these kind of like early like kind of somewhat political or very romantic songwriters, like that stuff is obviously from, because even when I go back to Nicaragua now, you hear Julio Jaramillo from the old people, not from. From older folks, like people who are 70 and older, But so anyways.
Also, we come from very, our older generations come from a different background.
Yeah, for sure.
Where like there's a lot more pride in the music because that song is reflecting on our battle.
Right.
And whereas our music, if it's not love, it's dumb shit. It's And what I mean by that is there is no reflection of what we've been through.
Right.
And if there is, it's all about corruption and I take my piece and fuck you type thing.
Right.
And so, and I don't like that. I'm not into that type of corridos or banda,
right.
And so I'm not going to listen to that dumb shit.
Right.
And so that's why if I was exposed to any type of music, it was, did it feel good once it reached me? And if it didn't, I just don't want it.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, but that song got me thinking about that specifically, and just kind of the exposure and how important it is to expose people. I think I've said it on this podcast how I think it's important to, if there's music you don't listen to it.
Yeah.
And I think that you will find something about it that you actually like. And you can go back to.
Yeah, it's just music.
It's just music.
I remember having discussions with my mom, like when I was a kid. Like I bought, I think it was like TSOL or Stormtroopers of Death or something. It was like some crazy hardcore death metal album when I was like 17 or 16, still living under my mom's roof, And I remember her being like, what is this? You know what I mean? Because specifically it was, like the front of the album is all crazy and there's like death and it's like super heavy and hardcore. And I remember being like, it's just music. Yeah. Like there's no demon that's going to come from this disc and come out into the room and possess you. Like, or there's no feeling that's going to come out of here that's going to make you do something crazy.
Right.
Like, that's just not, even as a 16-year-old, I was like, that's just, I'm listening to, this is at the same moment, I literally, that day, I remember I bought an Ice-T album, a Stormtroopers of Death album, and a Cult single from the Cult, all in one day at like Music Source or like Sam Goody or some shitty like music store back in the day.
Yeah.
just because I gotten paid from my,
Yeah.
shitty high school job, and I was like, I'm gonna go buy some music, and that's what I did, and
That's awesome.
and that's what I brought home, and like it's funny to think about that, and I remember always to this day, like it's just music, like
Yeah. Yeah.
it is not gonna hurt you to spend a minute of your time. Even don't listen to the whole song, then just listen to a portion of it enough so you can ingest it and like understand it in some way, especially if you're a musician.
And be
More
sure that you
specifically.
don't like it.
Right. Yeah.
My brother-in-law, he loves Metallica and he loves like metal rock. But the other day I was playing actually I Got Love by Nate Dogg. And he was like, "Oh, that's Nate Dogg, right? Oh, he died back in he gave me the year and
Right.
about Nate Dogg." And I was like, "That's super," because it's not somebody that's well known necessarily, you know?
Right.
I was super surprised that he knows about Nate Dogg being a Metallica fan, and yeah, so
That's funny.
It's just interesting how music can, you know, shift the way we think, and also to that, like demons coming out of it and things like that. I feel like if your subconscious picks up on they're saying kill or whatever in the underlyings of the track or whatever the fuck, I feel like it takes a very specific mind to pick up on that and then act upon it.
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
I feel like that person just needs to be kind of pushed a little bit to do that.
I don't even think that really happens.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even think that's something that.
Which is what
I think
people's fear, though.
Well, right, but yeah, totally. And I think music inspires people to do things, definitely. But that doesn't. That stuff was in that person. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's the thing that was in there. I don't think it's like video games. It's like I don't think playing violent video games is not making people go shoot people. Like that's just not happening.
Yeah, no.
It's other shit.
I don't play The Sims and beat my wife in The Sims.
Yeah,
you know,
like,
it's not gonna. Yeah,
that's not how it is.
that's not how it works. Well, I mean, you have to be of a very specific mind for that to click in that way. You know, but it's rare.
Yeah.
It's like you really have to be a tormented mind. I feel like
exactly.
to be like, for me to feel better, I need to kill people or whatever.
Right, exactly.
You have to be a very specific mind. And then the next track, or the last track, right?
Yeah, the last track.
The last track you sent me was Cabin Fever by me.
By Marcelo Quiñones.
One of my favorites, and I would say my second favorite from that EP. My second favorite song from that EP. Cabin Fever, I participated in the
you helped me
video.
make the music video. You did a lot of like assistant directing and all kinds of crazy stuff. You did that
it was
day.
so fun. I love that.
We did like 1, 2, 5 locations in one day.
Yep.
With a bare bones crew.
Yep.
And a
fully
massive amounts of equipment.
and,
Thank you to Panavision for hooking that all up, and my friend Tom Hayslip for doing a massive solid and getting me all that free. It was like legitimately like $1 million, $500,000 in lenses and cameras
lights, and it was
they hooked it up.
Man, I don't know why I'm in love with the equipment. Like when we shot our short film, I could not get enough of the equipment. Like I just wanted to use everything, and I wanted to, you know.
Yeah, we got a decent amount of equipment for that too. I mean, we had a little bit of a snafu with the camera because a friend of mine sent me a camera to use, and the camera broke and all that kind of stuff. But otherwise, we had a lot of really good stuff delivered, and
very, very. And so I've known now since we shot the short film, I don't really like being in front of the camera more so than being behind the camera.
Yeah, I hate being in front of the camera, but
like I love directing. Maybe one day I'll direct a short film, you know, and I just love the creation of things. But I don't know if I'm into acting or things like that.
Yeah, it's really hard for me to act on camera I mean, even just in general, being in front of the camera, like I've never liked it.
Yeah.
I know that it's something like I should do more often. Yeah, there's the camera. Hence things like this, doing this and putting pictures of myself a little bit more up on social media and stuff. And like, I'm going to definitely do some more YouTube, like live YouTube videos that, you know, I post or whatever, too, in the near future, especially now, because I think I'm going to have a little bit of time and I can do it. But yeah, I'm not in front of the camera person, but I love making video content.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this video was amazing. I think my favorite
directed
shots,
by my good friend and family member, Ross Vinokur.
Yes. One of my favorite people. My favorite scenes were at the beach, especially when you're playing the guitar on the rocks. And stuff.
Yeah.
That was my favorite. Shooting and like being on location.
That was like
there.
the last location too. So it was like also the rap party kind of, you know, impromptu. And
Yep. And it was so fun. It was super fun. So this song is definitely, I think, enforces the whole entire theme that.
Yeah,
you know,
that's kind of why I capped it off.
Yeah.
And also the funny thing about this song is it's literally just me being like, I had just finished a movie. And a movie that took me, like I wrote every piece of music almost for this entire movie, like even background stuff I wrote. And I also was writing half of the songs in a basement in Toronto by myself. I didn't know anybody in Toronto at the time, so I was by myself, and at my studio in Burbank by myself. So I was literally being like, that was a song I had written like, oh, no, I'm sorry. This was before that. This was right before I had done that film. But I had been working on another film. I got my films mixed up. Which I was stuck in the studio between, I think it was for Fonseca or something like that. So I was like doing like within my studio or within a studio that I could walk to right down the street from my house in Burbank at the time, for like weeks on end and it was like a lower budget film, and there was like no help and no support, no assistant budget, no nothing. It was just me grinding for hours on end by myself. So then I wrote a song called Cabin Fever because I was like going crazy by the end of that. Yeah. Which happens when you're by yourself, you know what I mean?
True.
Me and Katie watched this show called Alone, which is they take, I think it's 10 people or so. I can't remember how many people. I don't even think they shoot it anymore. We watched the last one a couple days ago. And they put them in Vancouver Island, on the north side of Vancouver Island. All of them are about like 5 to 10 miles apart from each other, but they can't like interact really. It's super rugged. And they're given 10 different items to survive, and they have to survive as long as they can. Whoever survives the longest wins $500,000.
Whoa, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, dude, that's a lot of money. So it really motivates like a lot of people. Dude, I'm telling you, like these motherfuckers stay out there 80 days and shit.
Wow.
60 days, 70 days, 80 days. That's how long these shows are. And they're like one guy, and he's like half starving. Because the other thing that's interesting about this show is like some of these guys, they get locked in. Like they have a relationship with the land, which is important when you're in the land, when you're out on the land, I think, trying to survive subsistence wise. And the thing that makes them go home is not that they run out of food or have a problem finding water. It's just that, like, they can't handle the isolation. They literally are just like, I can't, I miss my kids, I miss my wife, like, I can't handle it. I got to get out of here. Like, most of the people leave. A couple people leave because wild animals. A couple people leave because they can't find enough food, and a couple people leave because of medical reasons. And then there's always like 4 or 5 at the end, and the people who tap early are always the people who are like, I just can't handle the isolation. Like, I can't be by myself.
Yeah.
And they've been by themselves for like 30 days at this point. And they're just like, no, I gotta go see my wife, or I gotta go see my husband, or
That's the worst.
Yeah.
That's the worst when you're in the middle of the suffering and you don't know how close you are to the other side.
Right.
Oh, man.
So it's an interesting show. It's super interesting show to watch for us, because we're interested in that kind of, like, we like to go camping and backpacking and be out in nature and stuff. And I've always been interested in that stuff. And I have friends who are practicing that lifestyle in Alaska. And so I'm always curious to be like, and one of my friends has been out there by himself. I'm like, he has a small community of like some people that are around him that he sees, like maybe once a month or something, but he's mostly out there by himself. Like, he has like a girlfriend that kind of comes and visits him every once in a while. But like, I don't understand how he does it. I think he's just like that kind of a person. He's just like a hermit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's legit out there. Like, if you ever, it's called, shout out to him. It's Feralist. It's like theferalist.com. Like feral cats, like that kind of thing. Andrew Badendock. I can't remember his name, but it's the Feralist on Twitter. And I think he's on TikTok now and stuff. So he has a little satellite that he can upload things to, but it's very rare that he does it, especially in the wintertime.
Yeah.
But if you ever go look at him, like, that motherfucker's out there by himself, just like doing it. And like, I'm envious and also like, oh my God, I don't want to be like that guy. You know what I mean? Like, a little bit of both, especially now that I've had a kid. It's like, I can't.
Yeah, you can't disconnect.
I can't do that
entirely.
really to him because he wants to play with kids. You know what I mean? And so you're not going to find any kids out in the Alaskan wilderness.
Also, it's okay to enjoy a heated car.
Yeah,
you know, it's okay to enjoy the good things about living in the future.
For sure.
and having woods to go out to and separate.
Right. Yeah, like you can have both. I mean, he is a great example of having both. I mean, he has a fucking TikTok account and he's a guy that lives out in the middle of nowhere in Alaska.
Yeah.
Like,
damn. Maybe we should get a TikTok. We should get a TikTok and not post to Instagram anymore because Instagram is fucking it up with the algorithms.
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't put us in front of people.
It does not. It does not. Our Instagram account is very barren.
Yeah.
It's like social distancing.
It is.
On social media.
We're not gonna give you any type of virus. We're not. We promise. So follow us on Instagram, please.
But yeah, man. So it's a trip, dude. We live in a crazy time.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah, we have to learn to see it in the good way. You know, kind of looking at the bullshit going like, wow, man, this is entertaining. It's getting to a point where I'm going like, all right, let's I get it, you know?
We got to change something. I mean, that's the thing. I think there's some people out there who have like good lives, right? Like from the get-go, like from the jump. They're born into these great lives. They never really have any like big traumas in their lives. I mean, relative to what other people's traumas are, they have traumas that they think are terrible, right? That are complete tragedies. But in the grand scheme of things, you know, as a person who's had tragedies, or one knows that they're not. And you meet people and you're like, and they're doing things that you know are either self-destructive or a behavior that is a behavior you're like, you of all people should know better. Like you've had amazing life. What the fuck is your problem? You know? And sometimes it takes these massive tragedies to teach you these massive lessons that you wouldn't otherwise force yourself to make. And I think sometimes the U.S. now is like that thing. It's like it's very easy to distract yourselves. It's very easy to stay away from who you are as a person, like stay outside of yourself and not take stock on what's going on with the world and what you are doing to either prevent it or empower shitty behavior around you. Yeah. And I think like sometimes you're forced into it because of these like adversity. Adversity like forces you to like, what are you made of? What kind of things are, you know, what's important? Yeah. What do you appreciate? What are you grateful for? Yeah. Like think about losing that thing and then act in a way that you don't, you know?
I used to say, because I've always been, you know, like I was saying, like if the world is gonna end, then fucking bring it on or what. I've always had this mentality. I'm not really afraid of it, you know. And so, but I think that it's important to find a balance between not giving a fuck and looking out for humanity, you know? Because as interesting and entertaining as this may be, it's harmful to a lot of people. Right. And a lot of people are going to continue to suffer from the effects of everything that's going on now. And we need to think of that. You know, I think you made a comment on text, I think it was, about the economy in 6 months after this bullshit is over and stores are fully stocked and you know, it's a thing of the past, right?
There's toilet paper again.
Yeah, 6 months ago is a thing of the past. how are we going to be recovering from the still going effects?
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. It's going to be, it's going to be, I think we're going to have some long lasting, economic effects, but like collective psychological effects.
Yeah. I think it's a wave that we're going to see for a while.
On that note, so check us out on Instagram. Otherwise, maybe we just cancel and just get a Twitter account since we're both on Twitter a lot more.
Yes.
But anyways, we are on Instagram. I think it's Mood is Music. And check out our website, themoodismusic.com. Check me out on Twitter. I'm Kanika Music, CANICA Music. Or you could just probably Google me, Marcelo Quinones, QUINONEZ, Marcelo, and a lot of different things will come up about me, including this podcast.
Yeah. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram under the same handle of Silencer, SILENZER138. And also you can email us if you have any suggestions, comments, anything.
Yeah, or you want your band to come on, or you want to send us some music to listen to and talk about on the podcast, or you have a show coming up, which probably wouldn't happen anytime soon, but
unless it's like 45 people, we might come with our masks. But email us at moodismusic@gmail.com. And let us know what you think of the show so far. Today's episode is actually recorded on video, so you will be seeing either clips or the full entire video on YouTube. And so be sure to also find us on YouTube if you must.
Yes, YouTube. We will be posting all of our back podcasts up on YouTube in the coming months, or in the coming month probably. So you can... we'll have some video up there of us. Like this one will be video podcasts, but the rest of them will have clips and full podcasts as well. And so check it out.
Yeah. And also remember to not touch your fucking face, not go outside, stay home, and listen to this playlist.
Wash your hands, bitch.
You guys be safe.
The Mood is Music.